You don't really need to get rid of your negative thoughts. Maybe you've been listening to people telling you that, whenever a negative thought comes up in your mind, replace it with a positive thought, and that is how you manifest your reality and good things in your life. And maybe you're a bit tired of it, just catching each thought and trying to replace it. And this process is becoming very exhausting for you. If that is you, then I completely feel for you, because I have been there. And yes, there is a better way. This is not really how you're supposed to deal with your thoughts anyway. And I know when I was, listening to such things of replacing my negative thoughts with my positive thoughts and stuff like this, it sounds really good. It sounds really good unless you start doing it, and heavy emotions and negative emotions, maybe some traumas start showing up, and you're like, what the heck am I supposed to do with all these? You try to replace them, but it doesn't work. When you try to replace all these things, all you're doing it, you are increasing resistance. Like, there's a bucket, okay, there are some heavy emotions or some heavy things that are trying to flow out, but what you're doing is you're pushing positive thoughts and all these things on top of it. So that's not really doing what you want it to do. Like, you think that when you replace your negative thought with a positive thought, you're doing something good and it should be a good result. But instead, you start feeling all this resistance inside yourself. You start feeling like this is such a tedious process. And anytime you do this, there's this vibration of resistance and control and just contraction, You will feel this in your body if you resonate with what I'm saying. There's just this feeling of contraction, of trying to control, and just things not working, when really what your body wants is release right now. And how does this release happen? This release happens when you allow yourself to feel your negative emotions and the things that are coming up. And negative emotions are not negative thoughts. Emotions are the ones that you feel in your body. Whenever you want to feel your negative emotions, whenever you watch such video, I talk about this in lots of my videos, importance of feeling your negative emotions. Feeling always happens in the body. Feeling happens when you're crying, when you're feeling something in your body, not in the negative thought loops. That is not feeling. Anytime you feel like you're going into those negative thought loops, you have to bring your attention back into your body. You have to feel what you are feeling. And now, what the heck do I do with my thoughts? Well, actually, if you try to get rid of your negative thoughts, they're only going to stick longer, especially if you are feeling so much resistance and control and contraction in your life whenever you're trying to do such a thing. So you don't have to try to get rid of your thoughts. Instead, what you have to do is, first thing, you have to realize that your negative thoughts mean nothing. Not just negative, your thoughts mean nothing. Maybe you have been listening to some people who tell you that your thoughts manifest your reality and stuff like that. Let me tell you, that's not true. I don't know where I read this or heard this, and I don't even know if I'm saying the correct number, but apparently humans on an average get about 35,000 thoughts in a day. I don't know if this figure is correct, because I don't remember correctly, but what I do remember is that the number was pretty mind-boggling when I heard it, that how many thoughts we actually have in a day. If you keep trying to replace every thought and keeping a track of every thought and making sure that most thoughts are positive at least, of course it's going to be a very tedious process. Just look at that big number. I don't know, you can search it on the internet. I don't know the exact number, but it was a pretty big number. I was like, wow, we have so many thoughts each day. So instead of trying to get rid of your thoughts, just understand first of all that your thoughts mean nothing. Your thoughts mean nothing. If you have ever listened to someone who follows like Buddha's, I don't know if it is Buddha's, but anyway, if you have ever listened to people like Eckhart Tolle or something who talk about, letting your thoughts pass by and observing them. You must have heard this in some meditation you did, or any other person who talks about being present in the moment and stuff like that. I don't know whether Buddha talks about this or not, so don't quote me on that. You must have heard that, you have to, when you're sitting in meditation, you have to allow your thoughts to pass by. When does that happen? That can only happen when you just realize that your thoughts mean nothing. Otherwise, what happens? A negative thought comes and we start attaching a lot of meaning to it. We start panicking about it. We start overthinking about it even more, and we start feeling scared. We start feeling angry. We start feeling all sorts of things. But when you realize that your thoughts actually mean nothing, that is when you're able to let them pass by, to some extent at least, even if you're not perfect at it. I'm not perfect at it at all. But I have started to just realize that, oh my God, they actually mean nothing. These are just thoughts. These thoughts manifest your reality is not true, first of all. But second of all, just realizing that, it's just a thought. It's just a thought. And do you know how many things influence your thought? When you open up your internet, your social media, the number of things you're scrolling and looking at and taking on everyone's opinions, left, right, center, all of that is manifesting your thoughts. All of that is showing up as your thoughts. You have no idea just how much of your thoughts are influenced by something outside rather than something coming from inside. And we all have some or the other exposure to the outside world, right? Because we live in this world. You can definitely reduce it if you scroll too much, if you have a tendency to take on too much people's opinions when you're scrolling on social media. Oh, this person is saying that thing, that person is saying that thing. If you notice yourself being this kind of person that, you have a certain thing that you believe, and suddenly you see someone's post, a random person's post who is saying the opposite, and you start questioning yourself, is this even, right, what I believe in? And, you're not very centered and grounded and anchored in yourself, which is completely fine. You can work on it. It's not such a bad thing that you have to feel so scared about it now. You can definitely work on being a more centered, grounded person. So if you feel like you take too much of people's opinions onto you all the time, you take in too much stimulus, more than you need to, more than the amount of stimulus that is actually helping you, like, consuming stuff that helps you, and then stopping. Not even too much personal development, one after the other, then most of your thoughts are not even yours. Most of your thoughts are coming from people outside, whether that is social media, whether that is through people who are in your vicinity, where you are living, the people you live with, the people you talk to, your friends and your family, and all these things. So stop taking your thoughts so seriously as much as you can. At least just know it right now when you're watching this video, that your thoughts, they actually mean nothing. You can actually see them pass by. Okay, what actually matters, you take your power back from the thoughts. Basically, you take your power back from the thoughts. You realize that your energy is much bigger than that thought, and it's just a thought. You don't even know if it's coming from you or from some external stimulus or from some external conditioning or whatever. So take your power back from the thoughts. But the second thing that you have to do is, if some negative thoughts are showing up, you have to focus more on your body. Where in your body are you feeling this, and what are you feeling? Because that is the thing we want to feel. I'm going back to the thing that we discussed in the beginning of this video. Feeling is something that happens in the body, not in the negative thought loops. So instead of obsessing so much about what these thoughts mean, that it doesn't even matter. Just focus on what you are feeling in your body. Start connecting more with your body in whichever way you can, in whichever way you feel called to. Connect more with your body. Do some feminine body movement practices. Reduce the outer stimulus as much as you can. Learn to sit with yourself. Learn to sit with yourself. Is there any time in your day when you actually just sit with yourself without external stimuli? Whether that is stimulus from your phone, whether that is stimulus from the people who you live with, or the people around you, or whatever. Like, can you sit with yourself? Is that even possible for you? Because some people, they really feel uncomfortable sitting with themselves. If suddenly there is silence and they're just sitting with themselves, it feels uncomfortable. It's okay. Go into that discomfort. Feel that discomfort. If you sit in that discomfort for long, it will fade away. And this comes with practice. So just practice if this is your case, if you feel very uncomfortable sitting with yourself. And if, like, when you sit in silence with yourself, either you get uncomfortable, or maybe your thought loops start going haywire, or your emotions start going haywire. It's okay, just practice. That is what meditation is for you to sit with yourself, right? So this process of taking a negative thought and replacing it can be very tiring. And when you realize that thoughts actually don't mean anything, that's when you truly realize that there is some energy behind all this that is much bigger than just, concentrating on your thoughts, if that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, just leave out that sentence that I just said. And that's the thing with thoughts, right? If I tell you to not think about something, you will think about it. If I tell you right now, don't think of a monkey for the next 1 minute. Next 1 minute, you are not going to think about a monkey. Did you think of a monkey? Did an image pop up in your mind or something monkey related come in your mind? Probably it did. That's how normal humans work. So trying to get rid of thoughts, they make them stick longer. But does that mean that we love dwelling into the negative thoughts? No. That's what I said. Instead of obsessing about what you're thinking, bring your attention to the body. And if there's some emotion you are feeling, feel that emotion. Because guess what? When you actually focus on the emotion and the feeling in the body, and when you release that, when you start the process of releasing that, whatever, maybe tears flowing start, that's how you're releasing, you're gonna notice that the thought loops, they automatically lessen. They automatically become less intense. So yeah, of course there is a place and time for you to listen to positive affirmations and stuff like that. I'm not saying that that's not beneficial. But what I'm saying is, if you're trying to suppress something by putting positive affirmations and all these things on top of them, that's not going to work, and that's the resistance you're going to feel in your body. You're going to feel that resistance and control and contraction. So if that's what you're feeling, then your body is asking for a release, not one on top of the other positive thing you're trying to put on it. I hope that makes sense. Let me know in the comments if this resonated with you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.